Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, we will be talking about a very active and dynamic unsettled pattern that will be unfolding across the United States. And yes, if you could tell by the title, there is a mention of snow, and I will explain what I mean by that in just a second. So before we get into this, if you guys are new to this channel, I just want to say hello and welcome. I'm a weather enthusiast. I'm a weather hobbyist. I'm not a professional meteorologist. I do this kind of for the fun of it. And many people in the weather community kind of enjoy these videos. So if you are one of those, consider subscribing, consider liking the video. Obviously, no one's forcing you to. And if you do have any comments or concerns, any questions of whatever kind, consider leaving them down below, as I answer pretty much all of them. So yeah, consider doing that. All right, let's start talking about this this weather pattern. So first off, I want to go over what's going on right now in the near 1 to 3 days, right? And I will be talking about the long range in just a second with that dynamic and active pattern. But this is a part of it that is going on. Notice right now we have many lines of storms, many severe weather kind of areas. We have one across Pennsylvania, one across Ohio and Michigan, and then the strongest probably of them all across Michigan into Wisconsin and into portions now of Iowa. This will be moving into Illinois, Indiana, as it sags further towards the south and east. I do want to say that some of these thunderstorms are tornado warned. Yeah, definitely. With any single one of these cells, a lot of wind, large hail potentially, and of course that isolated tornado threat. National Weather Service map. Notice we have a ton of heat advisories, a lot of active weather. Again, this is going on with that active pattern trend that will be continuing in the coming weeks. Notice, I mean, yeah, we have a line of storms right there, as you saw, across Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana across the northeast, and of course, again, the more severe one across Wisconsin. We do have tornado warnings. If we were to take a glance at this, you could see tornado and quarter-size hail, flying debris will obviously be dangerous. So if you are under tornado warning, please take shelter. And notice that if we were to take a look at some of them, some other ones, they're all radar indicated, so they're not confirmed on the ground. But even if it's radar indicated, right, and not confirmed, don't be the one that tries confirming it, right? Because you may pay with an injury, with some damage to your body. You might even get killed by it. So yeah, tornadoes aren't something to joke around with. And yes, neither are severe thunderstorm warnings, especially with the strong winds. Yesterday I was looking at them as they raked through my neighborhood, and yeah, there were some large tree branches falling, and that could pipe right through your window. So definitely something that it should be, maybe it's not a tornado, right? So I wouldn't say seek shelter during a severe thunderstorm warning, but definitely stay indoors and away from windows. Yeah, and I was looking through the window from a distance. I wasn't pressed up against the frame because, yeah, it definitely wasn't a pleasant one. But thankfully, everyone's okay. Nothing really bad happened. All right, so that's what's going on today. Again, that's a severe weather situation. It will continue sagging to the south and east. I just want to take a look at this, where the severe worst of the weather is expected. Notice northern Ohio, northwestern Ohio, northern Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois, all in the enhanced. We do have a large area of slight, which again may sound not significant because it says slight, but that is actually a 2 out of the 5 rating, so that's definitely not that low. And the 3 out of 5 is already pretty significant. Notice the tornado isn't awfully low, 10% across portions of Wisconsin. That's not a bad threat, or that's definitely not low. And for the wind, it's obviously the strongest, and into the hail, it's also pretty high, but it's a bit less widespread as the wind is. So the wind is definitely the worst, and it affects large cities, Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, Detroit. That's already over potentially 10-15 million people getting impacted by this, by at least that red in the wind. So yeah, definitely a concern, to say the least. Let's take a glance now at what we have going on in the future. So let's take a look at the GFS model, and this is where that early snow, that snow threat that I mentioned, will play in. And so notice that as we push this, there's our strong cold front. Notice that it will be refiring tomorrow, potentially across very similar locations. That finally drags down to the south and east. Notice finally leaving the Midwest that have been just drenched by band and band, wave and rave of rain for the past several days. Notice Missouri, Kansas, portions of the South, the Mid-Atlantic will be getting in on some of this rain into Saturday. Now into Sunday, it continues, potentially refiring up across portions of Iowa. And of course, we have Tropical Storm Fred, which the GFS does not show very strongly whatsoever, but it definitely probably will be at least a tropical storm, if not a weak hurricane. And I do want to say that just because that cold front passes through, this is where the active dynamic pattern starts playing a role. Look at that, the winds. Look at the southwest, right? The winds, that was accurate. With that storm right here, once it develops, there could be some pretty nasty winds according to how packed those isobars are. And yeah, definitely rain across Montana, North Dakota, Nebraska. These areas are dry, they need that rain, so that's good news. An active dynamic pattern, not necessarily a bad thing. And where I mentioned snow, yeah, I was talking about the mountain snow in British Columbia, so it was a bit of a gripper. That title. It wasn't maybe what you were expecting, but come on, it's August. I wasn't going to talk about a snowstorm, but I do want to say that this is kind of pivotal because, we haven't been seeing the snow up here for most of the summer, and now we are. And obviously that just indicates that, well, the days are getting slightly shorter. I already noticed that, 8:20, 8:10 in my area, it's getting dark, whereas an 8:50 used to be in the peak of the daytime. It was bright. So days are getting shorter. It's going to be getting cooler. The sun is getting a bit further away from the northern hemisphere. And yeah, the mountains will start with the snow. Maybe in a month or two, we'll start seeing snow across the Rockies spread. And probably in another next month or two after that, definitely some snowstorms across the United States. And that's winter. It's not a large time frame. From around where we were in April to, that same distance ahead, will definitely be already in late fall, early winter. So that's just something I wanted to show. And look, the GFS shows up to 20, 40 inches right there across British Columbia. I'll show you the amounts in just a second. But notice the active pattern, as I mentioned. Look at all this. Every day, just these showers and storms. Lots and lots of tropical energy. Now, there may not be a tropical hurricane or a tropical storm or hurricane that comes on shore. But regardless, even if that doesn't happen, which it may, I'm not saying it will. There's just a possibility because of how active the tropics are right now. There's going to be a lot of moisture for any storm system to kind of drag and pick up, and yes, it will take benefit of that. Definitely severe weather outbreaks, maybe not massive, but kind of what we're seeing today, right? Enhanced or slight, maybe a few moderates in the future. With such a pattern, it's understandable. And look at that, the Mid-Atlantic, Ohio, Indiana, Southeast, the Upper Plains, seeing rain, right? We see more snow across the British Columbia Mountains right there into Alberta, Canada. Look right there, we have a more organized system across the Northeast. And I'm not giving you the timing on any of these because these are so far out, and I'm just kind of trying to demonstrate that there will be an active pattern, and almost every day there will be something to watch for. And notice that there will be some more organized areas, but a lot of areas will be just seeing light to moderate chances every single day. Now, you won't be seeing rain every single day unless you're unlucky. But, there's going to be a threat every single day, which there's a difference between that. Notice there's another cold front that drags through, and potentially, some signs of cooler air. There's our 540 line starting to show its underbelly right there across the extreme northern U.S., really not even at all, just really southern to central Canada. And yeah, that would bring some chillier temperatures, but, it doesn't have to be a great anomaly to bring that 540 line that low. It is already late August at this point. I do want to say that just because this is a dynamic pattern, a little bit of snow across British Columbia, there will be a lot of heat. And there will be a cool down after this big cold front that passes through with the severe weather that it's causing right now into this weekend. Look, Friday, Saturday. Look at the Midwest. Nice cool down across central southern Canada. This spills into the Northeast, the Great Lakes, right? And settles across the south. But look what quickly overtakes it. A massive heat wave. And already by late Sunday into Monday, we have a large area of heat overtaking very similar areas where the cool air was just a few days prior, which will be on Saturday and this late part of the week. But look what happens across the Northwest. That is some pretty chilly air. That's why there will be potentially snow across the British Columbia Mountains, right? I don't know what they exactly are. I just refer to them as that because that's where they are. That's the province. and into Alberta. The southeast also potentially chillier, especially with cloud cover, and especially if you get any tropical storms or hurricanes. They always cool things off. And notice at the northwest, look at that, a little bit of cool air, right? But look at southern and central Canada. That is extreme heat. Where it's hot, it must be cool in some place, and you can see that they're pretty close to each other, conflicting air masses. And as we push this forward, you can see the cool air kind of dwindles, but reappears again across potentially Alberta. The heat reappears across central southern Canada, the Great Lakes. So yes, by no means we're done with summer yet. Just because I was talking about the days getting shorter, the sun getting further away, the environment or the atmosphere reacts a bit delayed to the atmosphere, or sorry, the kind of the astronomical layout of the sun. So the sun is getting further and further away, but it takes around 4 weeks for that to start taking effect. And usually that's why even the solstice, even though the solstice is on June 21st, so that would you would expect that's when it would be the warmest. It's usually the warmest from mid to late July. So yeah, we're already in August, so it is starting to get past that peak, but it's still definitely hot. Definitely kind of probably equivalent to late June, August. In some areas, August is the hottest month across, especially the Montana, Wyoming area. And notice that the heat will continue, though there will be some brief cool downs, especially, if there are some storms or showers. You can see that they do bring in that cool air. So that's kind of a day-to-day threat as well, wherever it does rain, which is impossible to predict. But yeah, so, there are some good signs with this active dynamic pattern. The heat will be there, unfortunately, but so will the cool air. So, that's not that bad. It seems to be also in many locations, not just one location getting hammered by heat or cool air. Seems to be pretty changeable. And also decent amounts of precipitation. And unlike the pattern that we've been stuck in, this precipitation may be falling across areas that have been otherwise relatively dry. Look at that. We finally get rain across Montana, Wyoming, Utah, potentially Colorado. Not a lot, but it's definitely some. And this is just showing you the chances, kind of. Yes, there are numbers to it, but this is so far out and obscure. Really, the best thing to look at this is like, okay, the darker the color, the higher the chance we have for being above average in terms of rainfall or just having more rain. So it's obviously favoring the southeast, the northeast, the Great Lakes. It does show some rain here. So again, some areas could pick up 3-4 inches while others pick up none. But it most likely won't be just so widespread, a half inch. It will probably be a bit more scattered, a bit more isolated with the heavy, a bit more localized. But yeah, and it's also changeable because each model run is slightly different. But you can see the one from today in the morning did show a bit more across the upper plains in the southeast. And the one from midnight showed less here and more towards the southeast and Great Lakes. So there are some changes, but notice it's not flipping from showing a ton of rain across the west to little rain across the east. It's just some slight altercations. That's not the right word. Alterations. I can't figure it out. All right, whatever. Just some slight changes. And total snowfall, let's take a glance at that. As you may be curious, there could be some decent amounts. The European isn't as excited about the mountain sink snow as the GFS is, but there's a little bit of green and pink in there. It's potentially, again, reaching over 12, 14, 16 inches, which, again, isn't really unusual for the mountains, but it is definitely interesting to see as we've been seeing that insane heat there. Some of the areas there got up to the 90s this year, and they could be finally seeing that snow. So, definitely a bit early, especially if they do get that cooler temperature outbreak, as you saw in a long range, and that overlaps with some precip. That could definitely bring some snow. The Canadian only goes out to 240. It does show some snow, even across Wyoming, Montana, which I don't really buy, to be honest. But it does show an active and dynamic pattern. If I were to show you this, there's our strong cold front today into tomorrow, drags across the east, tropics get active, and notice we have a large system, according to the Canadian, that it develops a bit more kind of organized, rather than the GFS that just showed showers and bouts of precipitation across the west. The Canadian, look at that. It develops a low pressure that is pretty strong, and lots of rain potentially for the upper plains with this if this were to develop. This is now into central, I was going to say mid-August, but I said central August. And look at that. Yeah, see a cold front, a warm front potentially, just a classic almost fall-like system developing and racing across the Midwest into southern Canada. It's good. They need that rain, so that would be nice. And, of course, that would drop quite a bit of rainfall. And I said that the European agrees with this, and I'll show you that in just a second. You can see decent rains here. The European, if I were to show you, agrees with the Canadian pretty well. Again, only goes out to 240. There's our strong cold front today. Bouts of showers and storms finally pushes off by this weekend. A bit of cooler air again for the Midwest and Great Lakes region. And we see that, Tropical Storm Fred, maybe a weak hurricane. Some of these models are struggling with that. But look, lots of tropical moisture. And there's our system. You can see bringing moisture for the northern plains. And it does develop into a rather large conglomerate of rain, showers, storms. And it does collide with that tropical moisture and kind of sweep off the northeast and east coast. Day-to-day chances, notice, kind of pop-up showers. There will be some clusters that are a bit more well-organized, but definitely, as I mentioned, a dynamic, active pattern. Total accumulated precipitation, again, this is not just snow, but rain, everything, favoring, obviously, the southeast. Look at that, Missouri, potentially Kansas, central U.S. The southwest favoring quite a bit, including Utah, Colorado. That is good. They need that rain. And, of course, the upper plains, if that system were to organize, that's definitely quite a bit of rain that could be on its way. The northeast, there's some pockets in the Great Lakes as well that may not seem to pick up a lot. Again, this is changeable. I would say anywhere east of, say, Idaho, Colorado, Wyoming, even Utah, expect a more rainy pattern. Just these few western states that get missed out, and unfortunately, they need it the most. But hopefully the winter will bring, as we head towards fall and winter, we get some more active weather there. Maybe not so much for Montana, but it does show some for British Columbia, Alberta, not so much for Saskatchewan, a bit more towards southeastern Manitoba and into portions of Ontario and southeastern Canada. Let's take a look at snowfall. As I showed you that the GFS advertised for some decent amounts. The European, not so much. It does show some, so there is some agreement. Notice, look at that. 3, 5, 4, inches. And again, this isn't anything to be super excited about. It's normal, but it's just more of what it indicates. It's a sign of change that the days are getting cooler. Potentially the snow chances are growing. And if I were to show you the GFS on this map, you could see that I could actually check how much snow is showing. And yeah, look at that. 20, 22 inches in some areas, even a bit more. I found earlier a pocket that said almost 30, and a bit more snow up here as well. So yeah, nothing really that unusual, but definitely interesting to see. Let's take a look at the Cuchera. This is the last, I haven't looked at this in a long time, total accumulated Cuchera. But yeah, it's still mountain snow, so it's still a bit away from winter, but kind of there, keeping us excited about winter for those that want it. But yeah, active, dynamic pattern, keeping us definitely on our tiptoes and on our watch. You can see there are some chances of snow. I do want to show you the Canadian high-res model for its precipitation, not its snowfall. It's not going to be that important. This not that far out. Well, yeah, look at that. The cold front again sweeping across. There could be some very heavy rains across southeastern New Mexico as well. That's also something to watch for. The NAM model, another high res I want to show you. Really, you could see similar orientation of the rain. Obviously, the pockets of rain are a bit different. Notice it shows more into the panhandle. And again, that just shows you that even 84 hours out, the models disagree on what's to come. And that's why you just got to be watchful and wary. One thunderstorm, could produce a 1-inch swath or even, several inches of rain. And while if it doesn't occur, there's nothing, right? And sometimes it's impossible to predict what and won't occur. There's our cold front today across the Midwest. You can see decent amounts from that. And, of course, Tropical Storm Fred beginning its impacts on the United States. This is the HER model, a very good model that goes out decently far. It's very high range, and notice that it shows decent rains today from that cold front across Kansas City, across Chicago area, the Detroit, Milwaukee, into portions of Kansas, maybe a bit less though. New Mexico, Arizona picking up some monsoon rains, and you can see that kind of the scattered chances of rain across Louisiana and Florida and the southeast, and you can see that sweeping motion. It's getting swept out finally, this cold front. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all on the next episode. Stay safe, especially with those bad storms today across the Midwest. And you can see that just as I was recording this video, they have continued to develop across Iowa and into Wisconsin, and they will most likely continue doing that into the evening hours. All right, thank you guys, and I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya.